again for Revelation 11, two witnesses. No one knows the mysteries, but the more I read this, the more I think it's actually not the very end, but in the time of Christ. Because it says the two witnesses, I believe most likely, I know you don't know for sure, that was Jesus Christ and John the Baptist, because there's so much similarities. It says, measure the temple, right? But and then it says to John, the Gentiles shall come and trample it underfoot, meaning they came to Jerusalem. A couple of things really, to be Christians and that, and God went to the Gentiles. It says 42 months, 3.5 years, 1260 days. Christ and John the Baptist were around 3 years, or 3.5. Okay, of their young life at the end of testifying, of starting the gospel. John first to set the way, then Jesus. And they were given the power to shut the sky, and now these two witnesses, Christ and John, had powers, miracles, remember? Nothing's perfect in the metaphor, right? But they had power to heal. It's just very interesting. That makes the most sense to me, but you don't know for sure. I'll leave it at that. Now, when they finished the terrorist testimony, the guy from the abyss, that saint, he had the power, right? And they ended up killing both of them, right? And then it says they're hung their bodies 3.5 years. 3.5 days. Remember, Christ was 3 days in the tomb, and a half a day before that on the cross. And then it says the people saw him go to heaven. And people didn't want to bury him. Remember, his family, Jesus' family, had to bury him. And remember, the Roman soldiers were aghast because the angels saw this miracle, and Jesus went to heaven, and they were astonished, right? And but they gave each other's gifts when John the Baptist died, because they tormented them, the Pharisees and the bad people and the rulers. But after 3.5 days of what I said, they stood on their feet, and people were awestruck. Remember that I told you about the Roman soldiers who went to heaven. And there was a severe earthquake. Remember when Jesus died? The thing in heaven was rent in two. It was a severe earthquake. And people were terrified and said, "Truly, this is the Son of God," even when Jesus first died on the cross. Remember, that's what I just said. The seventh trumpet, seven trumpets sound like voices in heaven. The people say, "The kingdom of this heaven has become of Jesus." Now Jesus started his new church. Now it's his to start, right? And calling out people. And the 24 elders gave praise. We thank God, and it goes on. The nations were angry with you, judging the dead and rewarded and his servants and prophets. But now Christ set up the New Testament. They're giving them praise. Verse 19 to end this. Then God's temple in heaven was open. When Jesus died, remember, it was his body, Apostle Paul explained, was that veil in heaven, a ripped temple. And we got access to it, right? And there came flashes of light and rumblings. Remember the thunder when Jesus died. And an earthquake, there you go, and a hailstorm. So most likely around Jesus, but who knows?